It's the show of the week.
Hello and welcome back to Show of the Week, the weekly segment where we talk musical theater and where I wear flannel. Did you watch Grease Live? I watched Grease Live. It's the show of the week. I'm going to say Grease Live again. Grease Live! Another chapter in the book that is live musical theater on television and Fox's first foray into that territory. Now, I do want to say it's easy to assume that this trend of doing musicals live on television is something new, but, well, in a lot of ways, it's really not. Go back through all of the big networks' histories and you'll find examples of premiere television events that are pre-recorded musical theater, and go way back in the history of television and everything was live. That was the only way to do it. So while certainly this is a current uptick in a trend, new isn't the right word all the time. That said, Fox did try a lot of new things with this production, and I'd say for the most part, they worked out pretty well. This is the first live musical with such a big backstage. The whole thing was filmed on a back lot. They had a bunch of outdoor scenes, and I mean, that just makes life complicated. And they took every chance they got to remind you how complicated it was. Every single commercial was bumpered on either side with either Mario Lopez narrating, "You're watching Grease Live," or some sort of footage of some actor running out of one scene across the soundstage or into a golf cart to get to the next live scene. Which brings me to the second new thing that this musical did, which was a live audience. And if you haven't seen it, live audience doesn't characterize it quite the right way. Really, they had invited non-actors to both watch and kind of participate as background observers in a couple scenes that made it feel less like a musical and more like American Idol or Dancing with the Stars. And this is where one of my first issues with this production comes from. I think the idea of having a live audience for a live musical absolutely added all sorts of things. Live theater needs that in-the-moment reaction that you don't get through the screen of television. But I'm thinking about more of that in a traditional sitcom-y, filmed in front of a live studio audience kind of way. By putting these audience members on camera, it just pulled me out of the world all sorts of times, because you see all these characters from the 50s dancing in front of you, or taking gym class in front of you, and then behind them there's a hipster guy with a hipster haircut, and you're like, that's not right, Al High. Where did that come from? In addition to that, and I think even more grievous, and this drove me crazy, was the audience that they had was a Grease-loving audience, and they coached them like you would for a reality show. And so there was a lot of applause and cheers around this kind of, oh my god, they did the thing. Oh my god, they did the thing! Woo! Like at the very beginning of Grease Lightning, all it takes is for Danny Zuko to say, "Grease Lightning!" and then everyone cheers. Or like when the actors simply exit the high school into the outside where there is the audience and people cheer just because they're there. It all just kind of brings me out of the world. And this is where I run into my struggle. On the one hand, I love musical theater. Anything that perpetuates musical theater, makes it cool, brings it to the forefront of people's mind, puts it on primetime television, I'm all about. And this is absolutely that. And it's a live performance, and it's complicated, and that's awesome, and they're showcasing the complications in fun and interesting ways. On the other hand, none of that really does anything to support the story and the art that is the musical Grease. And not that Grease is the most artistic musical in all of history. It certainly doesn't have the best morals, and they did some good things with some contemporary updates and rewrites by changing the character of Hugo and cutting some of the more offensive lines, and of course they did some censoring of the lines to appease the corporate sponsors, but that's beside the point. If you rewatched this recording of Grease with all of the live bits, the things that told you it was a live production, cut out or not aware of their content or their intent, it would seem like just a kind of, okay production of Grease. And as I said, I love musical theater, and okay is kind of fun. And certainly, as a person who is interested in those things, the backstage bits are also fun. But because this current trend of live musical theater is very quickly turning into a game of one-upsmanship, I worry that this is gonna set a new trend that causes the world of live television musical theater to kind of glom off of the world of, I don't know, more traditional musical theater? I just have fears that the more mainstream this becomes, the more we're going to lose the content and the art of what I love so much about musical theater as a vehicle for storytelling. And don't get me wrong, I loved this production of Grease. Grease is not my favorite show, and I had a grand old time. I thought everyone's performance was better than I expected it to be. I was blown out of the water by Aaron and by Vanessa, and just by everyone else. The production design was beautiful, the costumes, the set, it was all stunning. I only hope that future live television musical theater productions can use this as an opening of the doors to what fun chances you can take and what decisions you can make, as opposed to treating it as the cookie cutter you should follow. That's it for now. Keep on hand jiving, and I'll see you next week. I tweeted about this, but it's too funny not to retell here. Maybe about a year ago or a year and a half ago, I, in a moment of forgetfulness, turned to one of my good friends and said, "What's the name of that song in Grease where they do the hand jive the whole time?" And she turns to me and she goes, "You mean the song Born to Hand Jive?"